And we're off! I am just about to depart from my section of the North East 250 epic road trip that the Scotlanders will be taking on this weekend. It's a route that helps itself to the very best of what the Highlands has to offer. You can expect lots of great history. There's going to be fantastic castles in there, don't worry about that. There's going to be great coastlines and beautiful beaches, great walking opportunities and fantastic waterfalls. There's also going to be, though, some great food and drink and local hospitality and charm. You never know your luck, there could even be some whisky or some great local craft beers that we take a look at. Now, the four of us are going to be splitting up to take on different parts of the route at the same time. For my charge, I've got the southern stretch, so my journey will start in Glenshee, working into the Cairngorms, into the deepest, darkest, coldest parts of Scotland through much of the year, before gradually working my way into Aberdeenshire, heading towards the big city, the granite city of Aberdeen. So let's see what I can find along the way. Now, it's hard to imagine a Scotlanders campaign, or any marketing campaign involving Scotland for that matter, it doesn't have a castle or two in there somewhere. And Braemar Castle, and possibly the coldest town in Scotland, is for me the classic Highland fortress. It goes back to the 1600s and it was used as a base by government forces during the Jacobite conflicts when they wanted to keep an eye on the local Scots with their Jacobite sympathies.
We're driving from Aberdeen to Fraserburgh over the next 2 days, stopping at all sorts of places along the coast as well as inland and seeing as much as we possibly can of the North East 250 route. This is Slane Castle, which was Bram Stoker's inspiration for Dracula. This is the home of Brewdog, the largest craft beer brewery in Europe. They do food and drink and tours, so stop by on your Northeast 250 road trip. Our first beach stop is Belladonna Beach, which is just over those sand dunes behind me. We made it to Fraserburgh and we're here at the Museum of Scottish Lighthouses, where you can take a tour of the oldest lighthouse built on mainland Scotland, and it was actually built in an old castle. We're at the Fraserburgh Heritage Museum, which has so much more than fishing history. They have everything from the Jacobite Rebellion to 1970s fashion.
Hello, my name is Kim. I'm a landscape photographer and a Scottish YouTube travel vlogger, and this weekend I'm very fortunate to be asked to come along and do the Northeast 250 with Scotlanders. I am taking on Fraserburgh to Speyside Way, which is home to some stunning coastline, like some of my favourite coastline in Scotland. Got some very interesting history and heritage trails and things that you can learn along the way. There's some really tasty food and drink experiences which I'm really looking forward to trying, and some very luxurious and stunning accommodation too. So without further ado, let's get out there, let's enjoy it, and let's do this Northeast 250 trip. I'm so excited for this. I decided to take a quick walk up to this monument here, which is situated above Banff and Macduff. And the reason I decided to come up here is because it gives you stunning, like absolutely stunning, panoramic views of the town of Banff. Oh, just look at this. These coastal views are to die for. I've just arrived at my accommodation for the night, which is the Cullen Bay Hotel in Cullen. And here we have Belladonna Castle. Now, no trip to Port Soy would be complete without stopping off at the Port Soy ice cream shop. I'm so excited for this because their ice creams are so tasty. Now arrived in Speyside Way, which is home to the Whale and Dolphin Centre, as well as the largest ice house in the UK.
Hey, I'm David Weinzock, the Castle Hunter, and I was in command of the west flank of the Northeast 250 route, starting out in Tomintoul and going up to Fauconbergs by way of Glenlivet and Craigellicky.
As with all my travels throughout Scotland, I'm undertaking this stretch of the Northeast 250 entirely by public transport and on two wheels by bicycle. It's a great area to do that in because this, for instance, is in fact a walking and cycling trail known as the Speyside Way. It's got beautiful scenery, you pass by a couple distilleries, get those wafts to encourage you, and it's never too far to the next rest stop.
Now when it comes to castles, you're spoiled for choice anywhere you find yourself on the Northeast 250. One of the great ruins is Belladonna Castle, seat of the once powerful Highland clan the Commons. Its 12th century walls make it one of the oldest in the region. Then there's Drummond Castle, a bisected ruin not far from Glenlivet Distillery. There's Rothes Castle. It may not look much now, but it was once mighty enough to host Edward I, the Hammer of the Scots, while he was campaigning in the northeast. Then on the opposite end of the spectrum is Gordon Castle, best known today for its walled garden. The crowning jewel in this area, however, might just be Ballindalloch.
Ballindalloch Castle is a great example of living history. It is still the family home of the Macpherson Grants, and that's very much how we're meant to see it. Not as a museum where you're not meant to actually engage with anything, but as a place to see what castle life is like, both 300-400 years ago and now in 2019.
The grounds contain all kinds of surprises, including a massive kids' play area, as well as ponies, donkeys, and even a llama grazing on the grass.
There are also plenty of opportunities to have your Outlander moment. On the grounds of Ballindalloch Castle are the remains of a chambered cairn, an ancient monument going back over 4,000 years.
One of the most intriguing historical sites I visited was the hidden college of Scallon. Buried deep in the hills a few miles outside of Tomintoul, this is the only location in the 18th century where Catholic priests were trained. It was a time primarily marked by the turbulence of the Jacobite risings. There are also some beautiful bridges in the area. The most famous is probably the old bridge of Livet, spanning the River Livet, but there's also the old bridge outside Tomintoul, spanning the River Anne. Now for something new. A memorable find is the Still, a piece of interactive landscape art that inspires us to, if you'll excuse the pun, reflect on our place amongst nature's beauty and how we impact it. Whenever you're in a new area, it's always a good idea to visit the local museum, so I stopped at the Tomintoul and Glenlivet Discovery Centre. Here, Highland life is brought into focus. Much of the area's story is tied up with whisky production, much of which was illicit and the bane of hapless authorities. Kids of all ages should especially give the new VR module a go. But back to whisky. In Gaelic, Uiscaber, the water of life. Some of Scotland's most famous single malts come from this part of Speyside, including Glenfiddich and Glenlivet. Every whisky aficionado knows that the barrel is just as vital as the barley for giving each single malt its distinctive flavour, and you can see the centuries-old art of barrel making in action at the Speyside Cooperage in Craigellicky. Now of course, nothing beats a taste, so head to the Whisky Castle in Tomintoul for over 600 carefully selected bottles and a warm Highland welcome. There's only one thing to say to that.
Slange. As you can see, whether it's majestic landscapes, epic history, or cracking food and drink that you're after, the Northeast 250 has tons to offer. We've had a great time putting this together. Hopefully it inspires you to embark on your own journey, and if you do want to do that, check out northeast250.com for all the inspiration and information that you'll ever need. Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again on our next adventure.